What's up, everybody? We back with another message, another video. Thank you to all my new subscribers and future new subscribers. You know we do nothing here without God because everything is spiritually led by God over here. We cover the world from a spiritual and physical aspect to get the raw, real, and uncut answers. So anything you hear, anything you see in these end times, may you test the spirits, aka take the words and visuals back to prayer with God, as there are many Decepticons running around in these end times sent from the enemy, had a strong, close, and personal relationship with God. Good, great, and awesome. All right, everybody, June 26, 2024, word on a good old Wednesday here. Let's talk about the Coinbase email and people resetting their orders, moving ahead of the Lord, so forth. This is a word many will not like to hear. Before I get started, once again, take everything you hear and see back to the Lord in prayer, because it's important you get your own personal instructions / confirmations from the Lord yourself. Okay? Can't stress that enough. So let's talk about the email. Coinbase email that was sent to people. The Lord revealed to me, and I'll give y'all the direct words, but the Lord revealed to me it was in a sense, a trap for the people walking mindlessly and not seeking Him. Because you're going to run into things you don't need to run into moving forward if you keep not seeking the Lord. The email stated that on the 26th today that they would cancel Shiba orders over like 90 days old and gave ranges and so forth. This is where Satan told on himself when it came to the reasoning. For book health, for maintaining book health. So you're just going to do Shiba? If you cared about book health, you do it throughout the whole system. So what he's doing is, by canceling by force, he's creating fear upon the children of God, and many in general. So that when you hurry up and you reset it, instead of the 2-year log of things and increase of people investing into Shiba, now he can see recently who is doing it and keeping track over and over and over and over. They can keep getting people's stuff. And then if you move and make transactions with certain wallets and stuff like that, now they'll be able to see even more clearly in terms of, because you're more highlighted to them. Okay, let's keep that down. Now, you come in and purchase something from a bank or a card, you know, even though that's in your account and stuff like that, they can still see like the transaction and stuff and keep that in mind, where the stuff is coming from and where you might go and what you might do. I'm going to start off by reading a prior post, because even I was being tested, and my realization that I was being tested amongst many people kicked in. And he allowed me to say this about 4 or 5 days ago. I'm going to read it. For those knowing about the Coinbase email with canceling certain Shiba orders, how many actually asked the Father before moving? Coinbase, the King of England, the governor across the street, or anybody in the world can say anything they want. What did the Lord tell you? You can't tell me that wasn't another test. The Lord told me a few days ago that many are more in tune with mammon than Him. That major correction was needed overall, and now I see why. It is your faith that grants you access to everything God has for you. Has He not been saying that for months? The email said the 26th of June. So what happened if God decided to make a move and so forth? So I just put a scenario as an example. But the whole point was that the Lord had basically allowed me to say what I realized, that we were being tested. But people didn't want to hear that about moving before the Lord. They didn't want to hear it. So this is where the words of the Lord come in. Because we got to be wise how we're moving, ladies and gentlemen. Satan is trying to get ahead of the game. The Lord said this to get people thinking they were not doing what they were supposed to be doing, seeking the Lord. My children, it is faith that grants you access. Do not reset them. Seek your Father. It is faith that grants you access. And then he said highlighted, tagged, And so to clarify what highlighted and tagged mean, we just kind of talked about that. I had a vision of a hologram in the Lord's hand, and it was of the earth. And I saw people like men and women symbols on the right and on the left, the profile details, but it was scribbled. So like keeping track of profiles. And in the background of everything, I saw the letters in huge, tracking. So he was confirming Satan is trying to make it easier to highlight and track people. So now you got to be wise, and that's seeking the Lord first, because not everybody understands how to move and do things properly. That's why the Lord guides us. He's all knowing. No excuse for going ahead of the Lord, okay? None at all. And then what comes next is the fake pump. How they manipulate the markets, and then that'll get people really purchasing and really connecting stuff like wallets and making transactions for them to track, to make it easier to spot and take note of. Satan knows what's coming, but you got to be wise and seek the Lord, because you'll walk right into a trap that'll hurt you in the long run, not the short term. The fake pump might be great, but you just got caught up for the long term, just like Adam and Eve. And you shall surely not die. They had instructions from the Lord, but what did they do? The old prophet lied to the young prophet, but had clear instructions. The young prophet had clear instructions from the Lord, and ended up falling for the lie that the old man gave him. And the Lord was not pleased with that, right? We got to not fall into that. We got to make sure we are checking with God before we do any and everything. Now, let me give you what the Lord had given me previously. He told me, he kept saying to tell y'all orders shall be filled no matter what. What does that mean? He didn't say open orders. He didn't say cancel orders. He said orders. He didn't say the status of your orders. Because if he didn't tell you to cancel or reset nothing, and you ended up canceling it yourself, now you're coming out of agreement with the instruction God gave you initially, because you didn't go to him. It's different than somebody else canceling your stuff. You still stayed obedient to the initial command, and you even seeked him, right? If you did seek him. So it's showing, okay, you're doing everything that you need to do. The Lord keeps saying your faith grants you access. And then he's just kept telling me in 2022, do not be worried about orders. Don't worry about it. You know, before I had all this understanding. So God is in control. We got to stop trying to be in control and lean not on our own understanding, ladies and gentlemen, because he's testing our faith and our heart posture. And when you follow and have wealth transfer idolatry, which 2 thumbnails I got reminded of today. June 8th, he did warn. God has been warning. Transfer idolatry will hurt many. Yes, it will walk you into traps because you are so stuck on fear and missing the blessing instead of looking at the lesson God is trying to input right in front of you. And that's going to hurt you. You know, he was talking about Satan in the markets. Stop letting the markets control how you move. It's manipulated. And looking back in March, people got disappointed again. He told you, though. He told you. Just like he said, stop idolizing the transfer and seek him. May 2nd, 2023. God speaks major correction on meme coin. So this message turned into ask for permission, which is in the thumbnail. Literally a year ago, around this time, sort of, you know, May, June. The Lord was speaking heavily on people asking him for permission before they do anything so that they don't get disappointed or get hurt. And a lot of people did not take that message very well because they just don't want to do what they need to do. They're impatient, right? And it's going to hurt you. So if you didn't ask God for permission, you are in error, because not everybody has the same situations or the same type of knowledge and know how to move on these platforms without being tracked and spotted. Some people know better, right? And he might have told others, okay, you go ahead, You know what you're doing, but they're tracking you. So be wise. They're getting more and more aware of what is happening, and that their time is running short. The satanic rebellion. So we got to be careful because they're more desperate than ever. And I keep trying to explain to people that this is not going to happen in the way that you think. God has expressed that to me. He can literally just put stuff in your wallets. And that's why he tells you to be prepared, because if you don't have things set the way he commanded you to do it, then you aren't in position to be blessed a certain way, right? It's all about being obedient to the Lord and seeking the Lord before you move and do anything. And that's what a lot of people are not doing, right? And he's reminding me of a live that an individual did. And this individual was not necessarily in the right mindset, but they were asking people of their buy and sell orders. Now, later in that live, manifesting of demons happened and so forth, and people just couldn't discern and see it. They couldn't discern and see it. And they were giving at the beginning of the live, they were saying that they had orders and what their orders were in. But that was just the enemy, the spirits behind the person getting that information from people. There's no reason why you should be able to tell somebody, or should be having to tell somebody, what orders you have. That's foolish. And God is not going to have you do that. That's between you and the Lord, right? We've really got to evaluate heart posture and faith, right? Noah had to prepare for things not yet seen. They were unseen. It's like you are being commanded by God to prepare for something to come, but then fear gets in the way and Satan pokes holes in this development so that when the time comes, you'll get flooded. But it's you letting him in due to the lacking of the closing of gateways in terms of working on the things God told you to work on, heart posture wise, all right, faith wise. That's what you're doing. It's a test of faith. Moses and the Israelites. The Israelites could have went back due to impatience and fear and got killed by Pharaoh and his army, had they not waited on the Lord to do the unthinkable to us, the unseen to us, with the Red Sea splitting / parting. This is where we are. You need faith. Your faith grants you access, right? So if the Lord had said nothing to you about resetting orders, why would you go ahead and do it? Why are you following behind other people? They could be in error too. They could have had their own instruction. You don't know this. Your instruction is not the same as theirs. You need to be seeking the Lord instead of following behind other people. That's how that is. And I hear the Lord say, if I were to command you to set orders, and then I see the word discernment, you need to be able to see what's going on. And part of that is seeking the Lord. He will help you. But if you don't, you're going to run into traps. You can't go without God's instruction. Do y'all understand? You can't. You can't. Right? So what do you do from here? That's not my job to tell you. It ain't. Because the Lord is telling you to go to the secret place. In that word, he said, do not reset orders. Seek me, your Father. Right? So he's telling you, come to me before you do anything. Let me explain to you what your personal instruction is next. He hasn't given me 1,000 people's personal instruction. That's for y'all to go to that secret place first. Like you should be going. And if you have to wait patiently to get the answer, then you do. And the thing is this, if you got commanded to set these orders and be in certain positions, then you should also be able to be communicated to get further instruction now, So if you don't know how God communicates with you, why are you even in it in the first place? You doing something wrong and backwards because you don't know what God is telling you. You just following the wave and trying to do what everybody else doing, or you listening to somebody else who should have told you to go to the Lord. To think that God would move on you after commanding you to do something just shows you don't have faith. To think, oh, God gonna move while he see me trying to do this. Who do you think he is? Why would he do that to you if he commanded you to do something? He don't work like that. But that just shows you don't have real faith, and you're looking at the blessing over him, over the lesson he's trying to teach you. And it shows you really are just looking at the funds because of your situation, whatever. You need to focus on the Lord. You need to focus on the Lord. And I'm going to give y'all scripture. I'm going to give y'all scripture here. James 1:22. But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. You need to be doing what God has been giving to you. His words. His word. He says faith grants you access. You cannot please God without faith, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. You got to be a doer of that. You can't just hear what is being said and then do what you want to do. You got to do what God is saying to do, right? And have faith to know that he's going to come through, no matter what it looks like. And that's what he's not happy with. You know, when the test is given, you don't seek him first. You seek the one you're watching. That's backwards and way wrong. And this is not the first time people have done it. And now it's getting more and more intense as things are amping up. And people still won't seek him first, and they just jump on the decisions. You need to evaluate your relationship. Because you can't just, I don't care if it's the littlest things. All it takes is the littlest wrong decision or gateway to be open for Satan to get in and mess you up. For the long run. Stop focusing on those crypto markets. Look at God. Use discernment, right? And if you struggle in that department, you need to work on it with the Lord. Imagine if this was the real deal and this had something to do with somebody's wallet, like a Ledger wallet or something, and you actually had the funds and they, you know, did a fear-based tactic. What, you gonna move everything without seeking the Lord? You lose that and you ain't getting that. You ain't getting it back. So thank God this was just for the orders. But he's evaluating and he's testing people. He loves all of us. But responsibility for the assignments is taken very seriously. And not anybody will just get that. And that's what y'all got to realize. You need to work on the relationship first. Everything else comes after. So for the last time, if you did reset the orders without seeking the Lord, repentance is needed and you need to work on seeking him with everything first. As far as further instructions, you need to go to your secret place and ask the Lord for instructions, because everybody has different instructions on what he wants for them and different plans. He's not giving that to me, and he tends not to, because he doesn't want people to get dependent on a person. So he keeps me kind of off of that. Like, he don't want people coming to me for that. Unless he's okay with confirmation here and there, you got to learn that with the Lord in your secret place. I can't be responsible for what you have financially or whatever. It ain't my responsibility. I just give out these type of messages to be a watchman. And lastly, with everything being said, seek the Lord for yourself. Take it back to God. It don't matter who get mad and huff and puff. I told y'all last year about the permission thing. People gonna get hurt. People gonna get hurt. People kept getting hurt. People kept getting hurt because they didn't want to seek the Lord. Disappointed because they didn't seek the Lord. He told everybody. So you can stop that today and do it correctly. Seek the Lord with everything you hear and see. Make it easier than what you are making it on yourself. Okay? Peace and blessings, and I will catch y'all in the next one.